Hello and welcome to the Art Hitman. I'm Perry McCants, and today I'm going to show you how to draw Deadpool. Let's begin by dividing the page in half from top to bottom. And please help me get 50 likes and 30 comments for these how to draw videos. Now, let's go ahead and establish where we want Deadpool on this page. By doing that, I'm going to come down maybe about 2 inches. And we can start with an oval shape for his head. Go ahead and put the base of the neck in. Once you've established that, let's go ahead and get how we want his body to be arced. So we can just put an arc here off of the center line. I'm gonna go ahead and measure with my left hand, the index and the thumb. Let's move it down and mark it. I'm gonna do it one more time, and it's gonna be pretty much the size of his whole torso. And once we've established that, let's go ahead on and put his shoulder line in. And this is going to be a foreshortening video. You know, his right arm's going to be aiming a gun, so we're going to be working on that. So let's go ahead right underneath this line, drop his waist in. And I'll always cut off you notice I have an oval here. I usually cut the oval shape off by putting 2 slanted lines in. These are kind of like the trunk shape of where his waist and his lines are going to come in for his legs. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start with his his left arm. For his left arm, we're going to put a circle in for his left arm, and then we're going to extend that out by putting a line in for his arm. Now, to get the distance between his shoulders and his elbow, let's go ahead and put a cylinder shape in for his bicep and tricep. And by doing that, you put an oval shape in, a line top and bottom. Then you can close it off at the bottom, and then put a circle for his elbow. This kind of helps us determine how long his arm needs to be. And once you get to the elbow point, we can go ahead and put an indication of where we want his forearms to be, or in. Now, once we've established that, we can go ahead, and what I usually do is establish the forearm shape by coming in and coming around over this ball joint here. So come down and angle it over and cut that off. That way you know how long his forearm needs to be in order for it to look realistic. Okay, and come to the outside and then do the same thing by closing it on the elbow and go back under. Now for his left hand, I'm gonna go ahead on, and what I usually like to do is put a rectangular shape for the base of the palm. That's this part here. And for his thumb, usually I put a circle, and I usually put a line and then another part of the thumb, which is the posable part. And that way you can know how many parts that the thumb needs in order for it to look like a thumb. So you got the circle, this part, and this part coming over like this. For the rest of his fingers, he's going to be pulling the sword out of his back. So let's go ahead and right off of this ball point edge, I'll come up and put the index finger in. That's how you measure that. You put the middle finger, ring finger, and for the pinky finger, we're going to raise the pinky finger up because it gives the indication that he's lightly pulling something. He's not pulling it really tight, but he's pulling it loose, kind of out that way. So, and then we can indicate what he's holding, which would be a samurai or a katana blade. It's what he usually likes to use when he's in combat. So let's go ahead and sketch that in, and then we can put the handle right underneath here. For the handle, as you see, I angled it out this way and out that way. So you want 2 lines that come out this way, and it kind of gives the perception, the depth perception. And then we can continue this line, of course, behind his back. That's where the sword's going to be coming out from. All right, and then complete the other side of the base of his hand, which is right here is the palm. Now, we can go ahead and move on to his right arm. Put a circle in for his right arm. Now this is the foreshortening aspect of the drawing, so let's go ahead and I'm going to quickly sketch this in. So you have a circle here. His forearm is going to be here. We're going to put a line in for his chest. And we already have this curve here. So the bicep and tricep here, forearm is going to be here. And then his fist is going to be just about in between where the end of his chest is here. So we're going to put his fist in right here. And then we're going to put an indication of the gun here, because he's kind of going to be looking down the barrel, or in line with where the top of the gun is going to be, so it's going to be about here. Now, before I define the right arm, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of his body sketched in. So let's go ahead and move on down to his left leg. So for his left leg, as I put the line here earlier, I'm going to put a circle here for the base of the leg. And we're going to bring it around and up. And it's going to end right at about the middle of his rib cage. So we're going to put his knee here. And then close this part of his leg. So it should be a tube-like shape that comes up, and it should be about the middle of his torso here. Now for his calf, I usually like to define the calf right after that because it makes it simpler to understand. So once we have this whole shape of his leg here, we can go ahead and sketch in his calf. And I usually put a circle for the calf so you can follow along, and put a circle right below his knee. And then the calf usually has a lower and higher side, so the higher side is usually the outside of the leg. So let's come in, and just where the bottom of his leg is here, that's where the end of his calf is going to be, or where the ankle starts. We're going to come to the outside and make the high side of his calf and bring it in like this. And then he has like an ankle bracelet, and he has wrist bracelets as well, as we see I have it here. So you can put that in lightly as well as you're developing the characterization of it. And now for his foot, we're going to put a circle here, and then bring around the front of his foot here, like this. All right. Now, to get the width of his leg here, what I usually do is, let's just bring an arc in here for his right leg, and then we can just simply measure that by touching the top portion where the knee is, and the bottom part of the leg here, and then bringing it over this way. As you see, I actually pretty much accurately got a proportion here, but just for the sake of following what I'm doing, that's how you want to test that. You want to see if this is the distance, or the exact measurement here. And then you can come under and then define a muscle in like this, and always lightly sketch in, so if you make a mistake you can always go back and correct that mistake later. Now, just as I did this kneecap here, we're going to repeat the same thing here. Now this pose, he's leaping, he's aiming a gun, he's pulling a sword out. So this leg is tucked under, so his kneecap is going to kind of come around. I'm going to put a box in for you. We'll put a square right here at the end of this leg, so the muscle is going to come around this circle and go back into the waist. Now his calf is going to be a little different. There's no high and low side to it. And so what you want to do with this calf is just round here, and off of the kneecap, we're going to define a kneecap. So we're going to have an edge here, and it's going to go back into the muscle right here. And it's going to come around, and it's going to tuck under just like this. The top part of the calf is going to be tucked into his thigh, and it's going to come around like this. And then what you can do is put that ankle bracelet in. How you can measure from his kneecap to his ankle is do it the same way. Kneecap, ankle, mark it, and make it as close as possible, and put that ankle bracelet in, and then we could drop his foot in right behind that and come down. Same thing with his foot. We always measuring to be safe. And actually what I could do here is draw a line over like this. Now, we pretty much have his body lightly sketched in. I'm going to go ahead and move up to his head now. For his head, he has, of course, he's wearing a mask. So we have his eyeliner here. Let's go ahead on and draw Deadpool's mask. What I like to do for Deadpool is come to the outside like this, come in, and then come back out for his cheek. I like to define and distinguish what his mask looks like in a certain way. So we're going to come on around, bring his chin in. We're gonna come to the top of his head, come around, and he has almost like an ending that comes to the, almost like a stocking cap that hangs off the edge of the head. That's what he's wearing. And close the other side of it by coming around the form, and then putting the ear right here, and let it come down. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and put a line in the center so you can see what's going on here from right to left. For his eyes, I usually distinguish it. Just put a slant in, keep it as simple as possible. Come into the center. And for his left part of his head, do the same thing. Of course, I'm going to put a temple line in. Angle it, come up, and over. And make it as simple as possible. Now he has these portion of the mask that comes around. It's just pretty much an oval that covers up most of the mask. And do the same thing for the left side. It's a very simple design. And then for the center frown, I usually just bring a line up like this to show that he's angry or upset about something. And then bring his chin in, like I was stating before. Now, at this point, it's going to appear that he's looking towards the gun here. He's aiming it. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this shoulder, which he has a strap that comes around like this. We're going to keep it simple. And let it go over his back, and then there's a little piece that goes in here like this. And remember, we're always lightly sketching things in case we need to change them later. Now, for his right shoulder, we're going to come around. And I'm going to switch my pencils for this because the mechanical pencil is a little too light for my taste. So to get more definition, I'm going to go ahead on and come in and go a little darker so we can see what's going on. As you notice, I came into where the bicep and tricep is, which is here. Bring that line up. And then underneath, we're going to do his tricep, which is the 3 parts of the muscle underneath here. Come in, if you noticed, come in and then cut a line over. That's going to be the elbow indicator. Then we're going to put the elbow in and come right into the wrist because it's hidden. You don't see it because the hand is here, as you'll see in a minute. And then we're going to bring this other part around like this and then bring some other defining muscle in. Just like that. Now, we're going to go back here for the bicep and tricep and bring this in to this part here. And then there's 3 parts to the shoulder muscle that's going to come in just like this. 1, and then 2. Now, for the wrist, we're going to put in his wristband here. Make this a little darker for his shoulder. And now, I'm going to go back to my mechanical pencil because for the fingers, it's going to be a bit different. So let's go ahead and start working on the index finger. It's going to be the trigger finger. And we have the middle finger, the ring finger, and then the pinky. And switch back out again. When you're going to put the knuckles in, make sure they come in and recede as you get to the pinky because pinky is the smallest finger. And then close these off just like this. Now, we need to bring the thumb around. The thumb is going to come over the index and the middle finger. Close that off. Now, for the gun, we're going to have the gun kind of go back a little bit. As you notice, I got a little darker. Have it come up. Then we can bring the trigger part that goes over its index finger, and then bring the bottom part of the gun over, just like this, and put the front of the gun in. It's going to extend just over the thumb here, and then bring the top down, top of the gun down. Have a line come up like this, and then we're going to put the opening of the gun here, the barrel, and then put one more line here, just like this. Make this a little lighter. Bring his chin in. And then of course his neck right here. Now, we can move down to his waist. So let's go ahead on and define some of his anatomy here. So here we're gonna put in, if you notice that there's a waist curving in like this and coming around. I'm gonna move back so you can see what I'm doing here because I'm about to work on his abs. This is one of the important parts of the superhero or the characters. Have the line come into the waist. Lightly put in the first portion of the abs. Second portion, if you notice, I divided in half here. Follow where my pencil's going. Come straight across for the first portion and go up like a W. Second, and then the last is gonna go into his waist. So we don't really see the bottom part here. Now he has this these shoulder straps that come around, so we're gonna lightly put that in, close off the bottom because we really can't see what's going on under that, so that part of it is not important. We're gonna put the other side of the straps in on this side and go off that way. And on this side, we can see a little bit of the ribcage in here. So let's get a little bit of indication on either side, just a little bit. For the waist, we can go ahead and indicate a center piece here, which is going to be for the belt. We'll define that later. And he has a couple of pouches, one and then two that goes over here. The other pouch, we're going to have it come over and it goes behind his leg. You don't see it. And we're going to move over to his left arm now. For his left arm, we're going to have a line that comes behind his thumb here. And this is going to be his shoulder. And trace this a little bit. Then we're going to have the bicep come in. Okay, so the bicep is reaching from underneath the shoulder part here. Close that. And then it's going to extend from under here and go in like this. Now, his bicep and tricep is going to come from under this point and then go under like this into the elbow. And then of course we can make his the wingspan right there. And of course we can finish off this forearm now by bringing this in and this over and defining that a little bit more. And then coming in like this. Same thing with his thumb. Start with some things here, sketch it in. His wrist and his finger so we can see that a little better. Have him actually grabbing that portion of it in his pinky coming up. Sword coming out this way. And now we can actually finish off this portion of his head and then have the top part of the what's holding the katana blade coming behind his head here, where the sword is coming out from. Now let's go ahead and work on his legs. For his left leg, let's come down and just have this line follow what we already have established. And then of course come over from his this portion of it under his thigh here, and then he's wearing a strap in the middle, so let's draw that in. Come up to his kneecap and we'll define that kneecap by coming in with a line like this, over, and then coming down, and then coming around to the outside of his leg and repeating that same shape. Now we're going to define the outside of his calf and come into the side, the lower side of the calf, and come down. And then we have this shin bone that comes in like this and then come to the outer portion like that. Let's go ahead and close these ankle bracelets he's wearing. And I know ankle bracelets doesn't sound necessarily the nicest thing, but that's the only thing I know what to call it. For his, let's call his sneaker boots. Let's go ahead and put that in and put a base on it, and just something simple, nothing super complicated. And let's go ahead to his right leg. Start with the kneecap. Come in. Just define it a little bit more. And then putting the base of it right here. Now, he has the same band on his left leg as he do on his right, so let's go ahead and get that established. And what I used here is two arcs that kind of curve a little bit. Notice they're not straight lines because that will make his leg look flat. We're going to define his muscles by coming in like this and around near his kneecap, back over and up like this. And then this muscle comes into his thigh, so same thing there. And then you close it around the other way. And then we put the other side of the kneecap in just like this, and then define this muscle that comes in and up around like that, where his calf muscle is. Now, he has one more piece that comes around like this on his thigh, and under this, it goes into his waist. And switch pencils really quick. Now we can go ahead on. Now we can go ahead on and put the pouch detail in. And he might have grenades in here or whatever weapons he uses. And put some lines right here indicating a little bit of detail to that. And of course in the center here, he has the signature icon for the Deadpool look. So we'll put that on his belt. So there's kind of like a circle with a line, 2 lines in the center. And then you can go ahead on and put the Deadpool signature eyes in there as best you can. And that's why I recommend using the mechanical pencil, because it gets the detail in there for you. Now, we're going to define some of the other characteristics of his outfit. So right here, I'm going to put a line in the center, because here there's dark parts here, and then there's red parts, and then other little subtle details we'll put in. Let's go ahead and do the rest of his bicep and tricep here, and let's divide that in half because it's dark there. And near his abs, he has a line that comes in on his outfit over onto his abs, and then it goes back, and then behind his leg, and the same thing for the other side. Come in a little bit, and then back over to the side. And I usually like to add little rivets to what they're wearing, or what any character is wearing, any type of shoes or boots, just to kind of indicate some level of detail for what they're wearing on their foot. So just put lines on the base here. Now, if you've drawn along with me up to this point, I've just completely drawn Deadpool, and what I'm going to do at this point is add detail. And at the end of the video, if you'd like, you can always pause it, take a look at it, and examine it a little bit more, and look at it when it's defined and finished.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe by clicking this round button at the bottom. Also, click one of the 2 videos at the top. Please like this video, tell a friend, and share it on Facebook. Thank you.
The Art Hitman.